Oh hey, look at that, another video on Dark Souls. How original. Now, to Dark Souls' credit, it is a masterpiece. Yeah, I know, Demon's Souls did a lot of what Dark Souls is famous for first, but the interconnected level design and its approach to gameplay, narrative, and emphasis on cooperation really makes it a timeless classic. For better or worse, Dark Souls kicked off a trilogy of beloved games, another spiritual successor in Bloodborne, and oh so many clones. Dark Souls just looked at the state of gaming in 2011 and pretty much said, "Fuck you! You see, games in the 2000s were really hitting the mainstream, so by the 10s, most of, if not all, games were seeking to attract players of any skill level. But how does one do that? With two simple tools, the difficulty selection screen and the tutorial. Video games are expensive business, and no company wants to scare away an audience for being too difficult or not explaining how the heck to play. That's why most games started to ask if you wanted to kill terrorist insurgents the easy, normal, or hard way, which was then, regardless of difficulty chosen, followed by one of these. Don't get it twisted, there's nothing wrong with telling you how to play, but seeing as how most, if not all, shooters use the exact same control scheme, you may start to wonder why I simply can't skip these in a lot of games, and not be treated like the 4-year-old these 18 rated games seem to want to attract. So as I said before, the Dark Souls games pretty much didn't want to do that, and it shows. Dark Souls opening hours are great because they really tell you all you need to know about the games. 1. Bosses are big and burly. 2. Exploration is important, if not essential for this game. And 3. You're probably gonna die. Alright, I get it. Let's not beat around the President Bush here. These games are hard. Intentionally so. I mean, any game that proudly has the tagline, "Prepare to die," won't be as easy as I am after a few G&Ts. For the uninitiated, the opening hours of Dark Souls are an entirely uphill battle. It's not super clear where you're going or what you have to do, and you've a set amount of healing items, and every time you replenish them, you reset the enemies in the world. NPCs speak in riddles or straight up lie, and super easy to cause yourself real difficulty in the game that can be real hard to reverse. No, aw, dang it. Now look, I'm sure there are Sunbros watching this who have been side-rolling and backstabbing since Boletaria who don't find these games hard at all. Honestly, you guys are awesome. While you're starting a new game +7 on a set of Donkey Konga bongos, I'll still be dealing with Ornstein and Smo attorneys at law. Objection! For the average non-awesome gamers, these are hard and obtuse games. For example, one of my favourite areas in the game is the Painted World of Ariamis, an optional area that's super easy to miss. Here's how to find it. Alright sluts, listen up. Step 1, reach Anne Orlando and find the painting. Okay, check, nothing happens. Because you need a doll. Okay, where is it? In your cell from the start of the game. Okay, how do I get there? Go back to Firelink Shrine. Okay. Take the elevator shortcut to the blacksmith, jump off right here. Okay. Jump to these ledges to get to this nest. Okay. Pretend to be an egg and wait just for a bit longer than you think you should. Have a crow pick you up, drop you back there, and make your way back to your cell. Okay. Take that doll that wasn't there before, return to the painting, and boom, Painted World of Ariamis. How does this make any sense? Now, unless you are actually insane, none of that makes any sense. And yeah, it's a totally optional area, but there's other stuff like how you need a transient curse to hurt the ghosts in New Londo, or using divine weapons on the spooky, scary skeletons in the catacombs. Like, that's not something the game just pops in loading screen text, or has an NPC give you a divine weapon and be all like, "Kick his ass, Seabass!" So yeah, these games are doing as much as they can to be unconventional. This is also why Dark Souls blew up. It was so complex and obtuse, and actually involved real-world help and cooperation in the form of notes. But because of Dark Souls' rising star and so many other games aping its style, a conversation quickly started to form around whether or not Dark Souls should have an easy mode. Now, we could just say yes and call it a day. I mean, I basically laid out how needlessly cryptic Dark Souls can be, so let's slap an easy mode in that some bitch and call it a day, right? Look, I'm not saying I have the definitive take on this issue. You should always take my videos with like a truckload of salt. However, the more I thought about Dark Souls, the more I realized that it doesn't need a difficulty setting. We're going to cover 3 things here today. 1, why Dark Souls and other FromSoftware games shouldn't incorporate difficulty settings. 2, why games that copy Dark Souls can have these settings. And finally 3, Kirby's epic yarn. That last one will make sense later, I swear. So why should we not incorporate a difficulty setting into Dark Souls? Well, for one thing, it kinda already has one. Now I know what you're thinking. Kevin, you may be handsome, cool, and always right, but you're wrong in this case. There's no difficulty selector in Dark Souls. First of all, thank you audience. And second of all, there kinda is. So upon starting the game, you get to choose your character class. For now, we're going to focus on 3, the Sorcerer, the Pyromancer, and the Homeless Man.
Can you spare some change?
These guys represent your easy mode and hard mode. I know a lot of you are screaming at me that these guys don't make the game easy or hard overall, and yeah, enemies throughout the game will still have the same attack, strength, and health. But what I mean when I say these classes equate to difficulty is the Pokemon difficulty approach. So, in the first Pokemon game, you famously choose between Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander. Unbeknownst to you, the player, this is a pseudo difficulty selector, as the starter you pick significantly affect the early game. Pick Bulbasaur, Brock and Misty, the first 2 gym leaders, are easier due to them being weak to grass type. Pick Charmander, and the game will be harder as he's weak to rock and water types. However, this doesn't affect the late game, as Charmander finds type advantage with later bosses, and the Pokemon you can encounter start to shake up in variety, meaning you have more options with how to handle battles. Dark Souls is funnily enough pretty similar. You see, a big advantage the Sorcerer and Pyromancer have is early access to ranged attacks. This means you can deal with enemies from a distance and avoid getting hit more easily. The Pyromancer is especially similar to Bulbasaur, as you can exploit the Bell Gargoyle's weakness, and you can find a Pyromancer fairly early on in the game to expand their repertoire. Now, the Depraved on the other hand starts the game without armor or specialization, making the early game much harder. At this point I've pissed off a lot of people by even saying Dark Souls has a pseudo easy mode, and I apologize, because I'm about to double down on that mentality. There's a reason most people scoff when you choose the skeleton key as your starting gift. That's because it can be used in place of specific keys to bypass exploration and putting yourself in danger. Not only that, but if you know where to go, you can get access to armor and weapons you wouldn't normally get until late in the game. So yeah, Dark Souls already has a few methods built into the game that can ease the initial difficulty, but you can't simply switch to a lower or higher difficulty once you leave the character creation screen, so the argument of adding a difficulty option is still in play. If Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and Sekiro have been your only interactions with FromSoftware titles, you may not be aware that pretty much all their games are balls hard. I'm almost positive piloting a real life mech would only be slightly more difficult than the ones in Armored Core. That's not to say all their games are super hard. Another Century episode isn't super difficult.
Disclaimer, because I know I'll never get a chance to talk about Ace ever again, but these games are sick and it hurts my soul that they've never been localized, because they are really, really good. If you like mecha anime and haven't played these games, you owe it to yourself to try these games. Ace Portable holds a particular soft spot in my heart, and if you still have a PSP, you should see about importing it, as you can easily get over the Japanese text and find a super fun mech game. Have I rambled too much? Yes, I have. Now back to the video. Hashtag localize another Century episode.
Difficulty seems to be a major part of the FromSoftware recipe. In the case of Dark Souls, it's integral to the game's core design and narrative. I'm not going to go too in depth into the lore of Dark Souls. If you want that, you should watch Vati video. He's the undisputed GOAT for that. I will, however, touch on the themes and atmosphere of the game. So the world is ending and all the bright and shiny gods are either dead, insane, or an unholy combination of the two. Most humans that are left are turning into unkillable mindless monsters, an affliction which you two are suffering from. You then have to make your way around the world killing these old gods to gain enough power to either prolong the world or just end it mercy kill style.
Okay, that seems really dark.
No, it's not dark. You're misunderstanding me, bro.
Remember when I said Dark Souls was a masterpiece? That wasn't hyperbole, and like any other masterpiece, everything is intentional, and all the elements work together to create the vision it's going for, which includes the difficulty. Now, if Dark Souls played like a Dynasty Warriors game or allowed you to grind to a point where mobs don't pose a threat, it would majorly hurt the atmosphere of the game. You'd no longer be an insignificant speck clawing and scraping your way to victory, you'd just be a god like Gwyn. Now, that's not to say games that make you feel powerful are bad, but their systems wouldn't seek to enhance the experience or reiterate its themes and ideals of death and decay. So yeah, you better believe the bosses are tough. They're the ones that are important in the world, not you. Your only advantage is that you can't die, and that's not even special to you. Undead are a dime a dozen, and even if you choose not to relight the flame, canonically someone else will. Just so the game can reiterate that in the face of all this hardship, your plight ultimately means nothing. So yeah, I can say that with ideas and notions like that, having difficult gameplay is pretty essential to hammer that point home. If you don't believe me, look at Dark Souls 2, a game that tried to create a more approachable experience, but is viewed by the fandom as lesser than its predecessor. So being hard is integral to the gameplay and identity of Dark Souls, but conversely, I can't say that it should be an inherent trait of Souls-like games. The reason I say this, and kinda what inspired this video, is Jedi Fallen Order.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Fallen Order very much wants to be a Souls-like. Whether or not it's a good one isn't too important right now. But Star Wars and EA do nothing these days if not try to pander and accommodate their audiences. As such, Fallen Order has difficulty settings to accommodate for as broad an audience as possible. Now look, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt in saying they're just trying to make a game everyone can enjoy. Like, to be fair, I don't know how many fans of Star Wars play games, and even if you've played every single Star Wars game up until now, there aren't many that resemble Souls-like. Plus, the framing of every enemy being deadly doesn't really work in Star Wars. I mean, any scene someone is in with a stormtrooper doesn't feel like they're in danger, so to suddenly make them as dangerous as an Inquisitor feels out of place for Star Wars, where Jedi are usually seen as being way more powerful than the typical brutes. So yeah, knocking the difficulty down to accommodate for that power fantasy makes sense to me, at least. I think the issue those that want FromSoftware games to have difficulty settings are missing is that difficulty is a key aspect of the game's identity. Yet for some reason, something that's taken root in the gaming zeitgeist in recent years is that playing games on easy is something to be ashamed of, or lessens a game's value by not being challenging.
How does this tie into Kirby?
Kirby's Epic Yarn is nothing like Dark Souls. It is the antithesis to Dark Souls. Now look, if you've never played a Kirby game, just know they are easy, and Kirby's Epic Yarn is by far the easiest of the bunch. It's damn near impossible to die, and if you do, the penalty is minor if any. There are no disadvantages to playing with a second player, and I don't even think there's a game over screen. For all intents and purposes, Kirby is Dark Souls' evil twin, and I love it. It's like the video game equivalent of wrapping yourself up in a blanket with a cup of hot chocolate. I wouldn't say it's any less valid than a game like Dark Souls. Not quite at the same masterpiece level, of course, but after a long hard day at the office, it's nice to just play something that wants you to enjoy it. I mean, that's the great thing about games, is that there isn't a wrong way to play them. Heck, alternate forms of play have given rise to stuff like speedruns or Nuzlocke challenges, so why should we as gamers try to scare off newcomers to the medium by giving every game Dark Souls difficulty when it won't even serve the same function? I guess what I'm trying to get at is that by adding a difficulty selector to Dark Souls, you're completely missing the point. But by shaming people into only playing on hard, you're scaring them away from something that they might realistically enjoy, whereas Dark Souls just isn't for them. Or heck, maybe I'm wrong, and the definitive edition of Dark Souls should have come bundled with a Guitar Hero controller. Hey guys, thanks for watching to the end of the video. What do you think? Was I wrong about Dark Souls? Am I complaining about the wrong thing and should every game be super hard? Or am I unreasonably obsessing over this idea? I mean, I am, but more so than usual. I also wanted this video to kind of come out sooner than it did, but I had some personal stuff come up. Sadly, this couldn't have been a Halloween upload. But yeah, hopefully it's good enough for the month of October and November. You'll probably tell me it's not in the comments below, but you guys are usually pretty cool about that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like it and you want to see more. Click somewhere on the screen for a playlist with all my other videos. Particularly proud of my Persona video. I thought that was a lot of fun. And yeah, stick around for the next video. Hopefully coming soon. We'll see.